There are many summer acting courses in New York and the United States. Many professional actors choose the Maggie Flanigan Studio every summer for professional Meisner-based actor training. Meg Hennessy talks with Katie about coming to New York to train at the studio and what it has been like working professionally while studying in the program.
Before I began, I thought it meant to just immerse yourself in all different kinds of acting every day. And that was what initially sort of drove me to want to train, was to just like be able to do it every single day. And I was not disappointed in that regard. Oh, it's so much more than I initially thought that it would be. For me, it means having a safe space to foster your own creativity and allowing yourself to discover who you are as an artist and what that means, and what that means for you in your life, and also how it's going to affect other people. And it's just been such an expansive process and so life-changing and so much better than I was expecting or could have even imagined. The main thing with the studio in particular was I thought I was going to have to like change aspects of myself or adapt or pretend when I was acting to like be somebody else. But the most incredible thing about it was learning that it's all there. Like, you're taught that everything is already, it exists within you, and it's all about just like breaking down the walls and allowing yourself to access parts of you that you didn't think that you had. It was so exciting and fun to just realize that I was able to stand up for myself, and being given an opportunity to do that really helped me to grow as a person and as an actor. Well, I always was acting from a very young age, and I sort of caught the bug really young, and I always knew I wanted to do it. I always wanted to move to New York as well, specifically. But it wasn't until I discovered the Meisner technique that I really was like, oh my God, this is huge. It was in a youth theatre, and it was a friend of my parents who had actually come to give us a little taster of it, and I was amazed. It was just sort of like a gateway into what acting could be. And then I was studying in college in Ireland, and I really was unhappy because I knew that what I wanted to do was to act. So I sort of felt like I was wasting my time, even though I'm not sure if I was, but all I wanted to do was like be in New York and be immersed in theatre all the time. And when I found the studio, I thought that it seemed like a really safe space, and it just seemed like somewhere I wanted to be. I did decide to move to New York specifically for the training in the Maggie Flanigan Studio, and it was tough for a while, but I do not regret that decision at all. The Meisner technique specifically centers around the imagination. And before I had found the technique, I had been sort of trying to develop my own way or my own style, and trying to become the character, like live in the character as the character. And I found that I was like, sometimes aspects of the character were like sticking to me, and I couldn't really differentiate between who I was and like what the character was. So my behavior would be a bit all over the place, and I would get a bit confused once projects would finish. So I was like, I need to learn a safe way to do this. And I looked at the method, and I looked at Stella Adler, and I looked at Meisner, and I just thought Meisner was, because it was centered in the imagination, I thought it was so much more of an opportunity to be creative and to explore that. And also with the first year of the program, it's like actually finding out who you are as a person and what you're capable of, because we're taught to suppress it in society. And you can't really differentiate who you are between a character until you know yourself. So that was the first year of the training for me. And then second year is like adding character. I'm learning how to take a character off at the end of the day. And well, I did feel like a number when I was in college, so that's definitely not how I wanted to feel when I was picking a studio or when I was studying. I did want to feel like a person. I wanted to feel like an artist among other artists. I looked at a few different schools, and they seemed great and everything, but the numbers were large, or they were like extremely expensive. When I saw the Maggie Flanigan Studio, I thought, okay, so it's like centered around being a small studio. So therefore, it's going to be intimate. You're going to get to know your classmates. You're going to get to know your teachers really well. I just learned how to be in a community in a way that I never had been before. It says like NYC Home for the Actor, but I didn't know like the meaning of that until I had spent a couple of years in the studio being like, oh, like this actually is my home. Like it's just unbelievable. I love it so much. I definitely was really lucky to have booked while I was training. And I think that is because I did spend a year prior in the studio and in training, and it gave me so much confidence, and it allowed me to really see that my emotional life was just beneath the surface of myself. So that access that you have once you spend time in first year to your emotional life, it just becomes so readily available that the fear of that it won't be there when you're in the audition room completely evaporates, and you're so present, and you're so you just have that confidence because you have that basis of training behind you that allows you to understand that it doesn't matter whether or not they like you. Like, it matters whether or not you do the character justice and you do the words justice. And I guess that sort of gave me a significant like leg up in the audition room. And I found that once I started actually working, the support that the studio had was absolutely like incredible. I was worried that I would have to leave the studio. I was worried that I would have to stop my training, and that was the last thing that I wanted to do, because I want to see it through. And I'm just addicted to learning about the technique and getting better. And what Charlie was able to do was offer me a different class time. So I was able to go to the morning classes while I was rehearsing, and then the afternoon classes while the show was on. So I didn't have to leave the studio, which was such a gift, honestly. And I don't think that my experiences in the theatre or in the industry would have been the same if I didn't have the studio to come back to at the end of the day and like remember what's really important, or like just recenter myself in the training so that I could just do a better job every single day when I stepped on that stage or like stepped into that rehearsal room. I think it's so funny because everybody probably has a different answer to this, because he does have a different relationship with every single student. I would describe him as somebody who genuinely cares about his students. And my experience with him was that of somebody who was very gentle and very kind and because that's what I needed. And it's definitely, he caters differently for who he perceives like need different things. Sometimes he can be very tough love. Sometimes he can be very like kind and warm. And at the beginning I was really scared, and I needed a teacher who would be able to see that and encourage me. And I know at the beginning I wasn't ready for the studio, and I had just moved to New York, and Charlie said to me, "You can come back when you're ready." And that was a huge gift. And I was able to then take the time to really find my feet in the city and find my feet as a young adult, and just go back like with fires blazing and ready to work. New York is its own theatre training within itself. And it definitely was a huge culture shock, but I wouldn't say that it was the hardest thing in the world, because of the nature of the familial aspect of the studio and because of the community of the studio. Like, I made friends straight away, and for me, like living in any place, I need people who I can go to and talk to, and who I love and who like love me. And I found that at the studio. I definitely would recommend finding your feet for a couple of months first before jumping into training, because it is again, it is a culture shock. It is such a different like place than I've ever been before. And I did need that time to kind of like ground myself in the city before I was able to really give myself to my training. We're encouraged to encourage each other. And I know I've heard some horror stories from other people in different studios about like the extreme competition, or just like the putting each other down, and that's not how the industry works, and that's not how like the studio works, and that's not really how life works, I don't think. So what I've learned from the training and from the teachers is that like when you help other people and when you bring them up, like you're therefore like receiving what you're giving, in a way. And it's also a place where like because the training is so intense and because you're living at the very height of yourself every single day, you're not going to forget the people who are allowing you to do that. You're not going to forget the people who are holding that space for you, and you're not going to forget the people who are brave enough to show themselves to you every single day. And it's the kind of community and the kind of relationships that just stick with you. It's warm and it's friendly and like loving. You can't help but like fall in love with the people around you. So yeah, the community is probably my favorite aspect of the studio. Feeling hopeful. And I may not share that with everybody, but the way in which we've been able to continue classes over Zoom and to continue to support each other, and how like Maggie has come back and there's like weekly talk backs with like previous students and alumni and professionals in the industry now. It's sort of like we've been given time to really sit with ourselves and like foster our own artists without the pressures of like external stimulus. I'm confident in the knowledge that I've done the work and that I'm not going to quit, because the diligence and the work ethic that's instilled in you in the program just makes you want to continue to do it no matter what. I'd say that given the circumstances of the where the world is right now, and given everything that's happening now more than ever, we should be doing what we love doing, especially when the future is so up in the air and like so unknown and seems so scary. Like, why not just actually give that to yourself? Why not like give yourself the gift of pursuing your dreams and pursuing what you really want to do? Like, do what you want to do what you love doing. Otherwise it's just gonna, like, what's the point? Like, what's the point in life? Like, I moved to New York because I had to, because I needed to, because I wasn't going to do anything else. I wasn't going to settle for anything else. And I'm so glad that I did. If you think that you are interested in learning about the craft of acting, or if you think that you are interested in becoming an artist and you've never done it before, or even if like you don't think that you need it, but you would like to get to know other people in the industry, it is such a gorgeous place to really like plant the seed of creativity, like plant the seed of that talent that you've been given, and like foster it and like water it and watch it grow. It's like being in a greenhouse for an artist, like, and you're the flower. More that you can like look at yourself and be with yourself and sit with yourself and say, look, like, I like myself. The better of an actor you're going to be, because you're going to encourage yourself and you're going to encourage other people. And I found that in the Maggie Flanigan Studio. I found that in my training, and yeah, I wouldn't change it for the world. Just follow your dream. Just follow your dream. You won't regret it. You only regret the chances you never took and the things that you never did. So just do it. Just give it to yourself. It'll be the best gift you ever gave yourself.
Actors who are looking for professional summer acting courses can apply for acceptance into the Maggie Flanigan Studio by first completing the online application. Admission to the studio includes an interview with Charlie Sandlan. Actors who have specific questions about the acting programs can call the studio at 917-789-1599.